Oh yeah, House on Fire in the house tonight. Here's my favorite part. Saving the innocent from corporate radio. This is a show where Ohio throws down. Ohio is on fire, and I am your host, Daniel Diesel. We have a lovely Tuesday night, and it's the holiday week. Everyone's ready for a big holiday. But before you go shopping, before you eat that big turkey, listen to some Ohio's on Fire, hosted by me, Daniel Diesel. We're here on WWSU 106.9 FM, Dayton's Right Choice. We got a lovely show for you tonight. In fact, it's a serious show. Well, it's funny and serious every week, and we'll definitely have a nice discussion tonight because I got Joshua Scacco. He is a member of the Rainbow Alliance community here at Wright State University. But we're going to have discussion tonight on gay marriage in Ohio. Right now, it is illegal. It's not sanctioned by the courts. And that's one of the biggest social issues in America right now. In many states that don't have it. We'll be doing that. We'll be talking about that tonight, and we'll talk about what the gay community does in Wright State University. So if you're not familiar with what they do, you will find out tonight. We'll have a nice discussion on that. But that's coming up at the top of the hour. Plus, I got OMVP, and tonight I'm doing a Dim Weekly showcase, and it'll be my last Dim Weekly showcase of the season. Because in 2 weeks, I'll be doing something special for our next 2 episodes. And speaking of which, I got a little story to tell you. A little bit getting insight on the life of a college student. I have a class. Right now, we're working on our last story for semester. It's a journalism class. We do stories all semester long. That's similar. We got to do the style of an AP style newspaper. We've done 5 stories. Our last one is something really special because it's got to be at least 680 words long. In addition, you got to make a short video that's no longer than 2 minutes. You actually got to go in person and talk to many of these people, which I have. And of course, you do a certain area. Like you get assigned an area at the beginning of the semester, an area and a topic. So I decided to do the arts and recreation of Yellow Springs. I was assigned to do that for the semester, so I've done many stories on that. And this big one, I'm going to talk about the music scene in Yellow Springs. Because I figure I like music, and I live close to Yellow Springs. So Friday night was one of my major nights of filming, because I had to talk to some people. And I did that for a little bit. I didn't get over there until 8 o'clock in the evening, which is fine. That's where all the music concerts happen anyway. They begin around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock roughly. But I was able to talk to Mr. Michael from the Spirited Goat Cafe. I talked to him for a few minutes. Hopefully I'll get some good quotes from him. I got some good quotes from him. That's what I meant. So shout out to him. I also checked out a little bit of everything. Because they got stuff at, there's a wine, the Sunrise Cafe, I believe it's called. Well, no, I forget the name of it. But they had Trey Stone and the Ringers. So I got to see them perform for a half hour. And that was cool because friends of mine have been telling me about Trey Stone. I got a request for them many months back. Of course, hopefully I can use them for my material for my final project. Anyway, I did a bunch of things. Yeah, I stopped at Peach's Grill. I saw a little bit of Shrub Love, just a little bit. And I did a bunch of things. Also, they have a thing called the Gulch Saloon. It's a bar, but it's a high energy club, if you will. But lots of people from the Antioch College, they pack in that place, and they have a live DJ. He's got strobe lights, and there's lots of hot young college women. So that was fun to watch. I got to film it too. And now they are closed. No one took their clothes off. At least when I was there, they didn't. I don't know. Maybe they waited till I left. But it's wild. I'm not joking. It gets wild on Friday night in Yellow Springs. So that was my assignment, and I might film some more footage if I get a chance on this busy holiday weekend. Because they do a bunch of things in Yellow Springs. There's also a thing called the Toxic Beauty. And let me tell you about the Toxic Beauty. It's a vintage record store for those that still have record players, or for those that believe that the record player will come back. That there is belief in some circles that people will get tired of CDs and digital music, and they will turn back to vinyl records. You know, it's that for kids listening at home, have no idea what I'm talking about. You spin it, and it's made of it's made of vinyl. That's why it's called that. But it's more like, it's close to wood. It's kind of similar to a wood feeling. Like if you bend it really, you got to bend it really, really hard. It'll make a chip noise, as opposed to a clack like you would a plastic CD. Like it clacks if you break it, but it chips. So vinyl chips. So that's one way to remember what a vinyl is. And allegedly, which I like to think it's true, it's the original recordings of the song. It's the original recordings are put on vinyl, like because for digital CDs, once a song has been recorded, that original file is actually transferred to digital. So when you hear it digitally, I mean, it still sounds good, but it's not 100% the same as it would if you were to hear the organic material and have it recorded to a big vinyl album. So there's pros and cons to everything. That's the pro to a vinyl. If you like the real deal, that's 100% authentic. You even hear some music noise in a vinyl that you wouldn't hear on a CD. So that's the pro of that. So anyway, but that's what the Toxic Beauty is all about. So I'm going to try to film some footage of them. They play their stuff all the time. So anyway, that's what I did on Friday night. And a little scary story, well, at least not on my part. I told my taxi driver that I wanted to be picked up at 11:30 p.m. at night because I figured I'd be done by then. Well, he mistook it as saying 9:30 p.m. and he sent his guy over, and I wasn't even there. And then he started calling my family because he has my contact. I'm kind of like one of his regular customers, and yeah, he just he went crazy. He just he called my mother I was at my house. She was staying with my grandfather, and it got them all worried. Of course, then they got happy when I finally called. Hey, I'm okay. And the thing about missing people, in case you don't know the missing people rule, is you can report to the cops if you think someone has gone missing and they're in serious danger, but they got to wait 24 hours for them to turn up. So I was shy for a whole 19 hours. Like I was presumed missing by some people for roughly 3 hours, but there was a misunderstanding, which that can be scary, I guess, if you don't know, if you don't really know what's going on, and someone says they're missing, that can strike fear. So anyway, but I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I made it, and doing my assignment for Bright State University, and I'm getting waved at by friends of mine. I think that was Lisa Ernest. Maybe, I don't know. I interviewed her once. She works for that Cancer for Society group. But anyway, I got waved at. That was cool. And so with that, and before I play some music tonight, I got some advice, because this guess what, people? That was easy for me to say. Blah, 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 blah. All right, it's live radio. When you screw up, you screw up. Yes, it's holiday weekend, because Wednesday we got Thanksgiving Eve. That's when people make their last minute preparation to make their turkey. And then Thursday is Turkey Day, where people eat and stuff themselves, and they say what they're thankful for. And of course, I'm thankful for a lot of things, which I'll share that on my Facebook. I'm thankful for a lot of things, definitely, but that's what Thanksgiving's all about. And anywho, yeah, of course, after Turkey Thursday, then we got Black Friday. That's when Christmas really begins, folks. That's when people go shopping. They buy that new $10 CD when it's normally $20, but you get for $10. It's all beautiful. But let me tell you, it's getting ridiculous, I actually believe. Because, I mean, you got Black Friday, and the stores open at 3 in the morning. Like, it's hardly Thursday. Like, people can't even get, people that work at these stores, like at, well, the main retail stores, you know what they are. Nowadays, they can't even go home. They come in after they eat their Thanksgiving turkey, and some of them come in at 11 o'clock at night from what I hear. You know, some people that I go to school with, they tell me about the stories of working at these places. They have to come in late in the evening, sometimes early in the morning, and they get told all these things about what to do. And if there's an emergency, like if someone gets trampled, someone gets beat up, you call the cops. There's like a button you press, and so anyway, it's getting crazy because it happened in Albany, New York, several years ago. That Walmart incident where a few people died because they got trampled, which that's just stupid. I mean, I feel bad for anyone that caused. They were so obsessed with buying stuff they killed somebody, and I'm not even joking. That's well, talk about not having your priorities straight. But I don't want people dying on Black Friday. But it's getting ridiculous though, because we've got Black Friday, we got Small Business Saturday. For those that aren't as big as Walmart and Target, those that are little shops. What'd be a good example of a little shop? I guess that place, that Blu-ray store, that little video place that's downtown here in Fairborn, across the street from the mall. I can't think of it, but you still use Blu-ray DVDs and old VHSs. Anyway, I'll think of it, but that'd be a small business, and they got discounts themselves to counter. For those that missed on the Big Friday deal, you can catch up on Small Saturday. And then there's another thing. There's a thing called Salvation Sunday. It's for those that are really religious and they are against the corporatization of Christmas, as they feel with the Black Friday happenings. But it's called Salvation Sunday, and I don't know which churches do it around here. I know some of them do that are against it, but they preach against Christmas is dying. The holiday season has died because because Capital America has taken over Christmas, and there's actually a band. There's a guy. I forget his name. I was hoping to look him up in time, but it's the Salvation Choir. You know what I'm talking about. He's wearing a white suit. He's got big blonde spiked hair, and he takes a choir with him. They travel nationally, and they sing songs in front of stores, and tell people, "Hey, you can't go here. You worship the devil when you do this." And they preach. And he had a documentary a few years back. So if you know who that guy is, I forget his name. I know I can see it. I see the music they sing. I can't think of his name. So, but hey, call me here at 937-775-5555. Let me know if you know the guy I'm talking about. I can't think of his name. I really can't. So let me know. But other churches do it too. So it's called Salvation Sunday. And then there's Cyber Monday, my favorite holiday. Because if you missed out in stores, if you waited in line and get what you wanted, well, you get a second chance, and that's Cyber Monday, because they get the new shipment of products that come in. You can buy them online, and you get the mega deals online. So there's that, and it keeps going because there's more. We now have. There's no name right now for Tuesday and Wednesday, so there's some suggestions for Tuesday and Wednesday. And I got a few suggestions. For Tuesday, that's after all those holiday days, I suggest Sleep In Tuesday. So, because if you happen to take part in all those activities, or at least many of them, you're probably really tired. You know what? I call it Tired Tuesday. Yes. We're going to call it Tired Tuesday. That way you can sleep in. And you're not buying anything for nobody. That's your day to rest, if you're able to, because I actually got to go to school next Tuesday. And of course, you can listen to the radio, because I am on again next Tuesday night. So stay at home. You know, if you're a working person, call in the workplace, tell them that you're tired, your little baby feelings are hurt. You know, you need to cuddle up on a blanket, the new blanket that you bought on Black Friday, and just hang out. Just hang out in your home, just let it hang free on an early morning breeze. That's what I always say. And we are back with Ohio's on Fire. I'm your host, Daniel Diesel, and I got my special guest for tonight. He is Joshua Scacco. He is a member of the GLBTQA community at Rice University. But say hello, Joshua.
Hello, everyone.
All right, your mic sounds great, so that's also good. So anyway, but welcome. Now, for those that at home that are not familiar with GLBTQA at Rice University, that organization, what is it all about and what's its main purpose?
Yeah, so I serve as the graduate assistant, for GLBTQA programs and initiatives here at Wright State University. We're a division of student affairs currently, and we're moving towards the division of multicultural affairs community engagement, or MACE, in January. Currently, I advise Rainbow Alliance, which is the student organization that a lot of people know about. But I also help coordinate our safe space trainings that people have heard about. If you see the stickers around campus with the pink triangle in the middle, as well as our resource room and our panel program.
Okay. Now, when did the group first get established on campus?
As far as Rainbow Alliance, it's been around for a while. I want to say it's been maybe 10 years or longer.
Okay.
It's moved through different names, so I've heard of a group called Beta Beta, and that was sort of, I think that was either an early iteration of Rainbow Alliance that we see today, but it's
Okay.
gone through different names, and there's been sort of offshoots that have survived and sort of shifted around, as much as most student organizations do on campuses.
Okay. Now that's good that it called this. There's a representation of the gay community in Wright State. There's a lot of communities, and I think college does a good job. At least give them a spot to feel welcome and at least have their voice heard. I believe that's been a big problem in high schools. It depends on who you are. You're either a winner or a loser in high school. That's like the whole, I don't know. I mean, maybe you have your different thoughts on high school, but let me ask you: have you noticed a high crime rate that's related to the gay community in high schools or in other lower elementary schools where there isn't, when gay communities aren't really welcome that much?
Well, something I've seen a lot in my position, and I've been in this position since before the summer, so I got to go through the orientation program here at Wright State. And sitting at the orientation tables for Rainbow Alliance and meeting some of the first-year students that were coming in, I got so many people saying I was the leader of a Gay Straight Alliance, a GSA, at my high school.
Mm-hmm.
These organizations are popping up across campus. In my class, I'm in the higher education program here, and I had a cohort member who was just saying, hey, I'm from Salina, and we have a GSA now. So I think there's been a lot of, especially with the younger generations, there's been a lot of sort of coming together in solidarity around people who are GLBTQA and supporting that community.
Okay. Well, I noticed when I was in senior in high school in Xenia back in '05, they didn't have a gay group. Mm-hmm. From my understanding, there is one now, so I think it sounds like it's something that's came up slowly with understanding and people realizing that it's a real lifestyle. It's something to be taken serious. People that are in this community, they take it serious. So I believe it's moving up slowly. So that's I just knew it was a big. Back in '05 when I was in senior high school, a lot of people were saying there's no way that group would ever be have a voice at school, but they do now. So that's positive. That's a positive improvement. So I want to throw that out there. Now, one of the big social issues in our country in Ohio is a lot of the states. Same-sex marriage is not legal. So I want to ask you your personal thoughts. How come same-sex marriage is not legalized in Ohio, and who's the main group of people that's preventing this from happening?
Yeah, so marriage is a very complex situation in the United States. It's a very old institution in our world. I think we know a lot of sort of the, I'll say, quote, the right, but, sort of anti-right or anti-same-sex marriage advocates. We kind of know their messaging that they say. Something I like to nuance, though, when we talk about the conversation of same-sex marriage, is that there are also critiques coming from the GLBTQ community, from that community as well. Mm-hmm. Looking at some of the oppressions that group faces, there's a lot of economic oppression. So, when I'm looking at jobs, last I checked last year, 32 states, it was still legal to fire someone who identified as GLBTQA with no sort of protections. We have high schoolers, like you were saying, who may face physical abuse, or we definitely have, especially trans women, especially trans women of color, being attacked and being sometimes killed, especially in the state of Ohio. There are sort of oppressions that some people would say marriage helps change a culture to support and sort of fight some of those oppressions, but there are others in the community who say these things are not related. When we look at the benefits and some of the oppressions that people are talking about why we need marriage, they're largely economic. As sort of a developing professional myself, me and my partner are just starting to see those economic oppressions because we're at a certain economic level. So something to nuance when we talk about marriage in the same-sex community is that who does marriage benefit and who does getting marriage not benefit? Does that person who's in high school who maybe have suicidal thoughts, does marriage necessarily help them? That's a good conversation. So that's something I just like to nuance when I'm talking about marriage. Looking at sort of the marriage trend, Ohio has decided to sort of, well, it wasn't necessarily Ohio, but there's court decisions, there's appeals court that sort of pulls things together from several different states. That's the appeals court level. And then there's the Supreme Court that we know about. Most appeals courts have decided on getting rid of bans. And that's because a lot of the arguments against same-sex marriage are tired and not necessarily good.
Oh, okay.
To some degree. But then the Ohio court, and well, let me back up. The Supreme Court, we just noticed, like last month, said we're not going to take on this issue. A lot of people were saying they wanted what's called a circuit split. When different circuit courts, maybe one circuit court will say yes on something, and another circuit court will say no.
Yeah.
And within the last, I think, was it 2 or 3 weeks, the Sixth Circuit, which is what Ohio is in, decided to say no, and that's the first circuit court to say no. So I think the next day they had a file in the Supreme Court saying take this issue on, and a lot of people are saying maybe the Supreme Court will take this on now because there is that circuit split.
All right. Now I know when these states when they are approving for the legalization of same-sex marriage, I guess I don't know if they can tell what date that will actually take place. Do you have an idea if they do decide to pass same-sex marriage, what date that would take on? Like, is it in 2015 that might happen? Do you know when it'll happen?
I mean, if the people who got their reports into the Supreme Court had their way, it would be at the end of this session of the Supreme Court, with the decision coming out, again, kind of like we saw last year, around that June, July point.
June, okay.
And if the Supreme Court says something, just like we kind of saw a few weeks ago when the Supreme Court didn't say anything, states responded very quickly. So if the Supreme Court were to make a decision saying this is unconstitutional to make this difference, on these grounds, which, like I said, are sometimes not the strongest, that states would respond very quickly. And like it's really hard to stay up to date on this conversation for me, just because it's a new state almost every week, it feels like. Just while I was waiting in the waiting room, the AP was saying 3 hours ago, Arkansas, a ban was deemed unconstitutional. Now, theirs is on hold for that appeals process.
Yeah.
It's almost once a week, 2 or 3 times a week, I get some sort of news update, and it's just hard to keep track of everything.
And we are back with Ohio is on Fire. I'm here once again with my host, with my special guest, Joshua Scacco. He is from the GLBTQA community, which is the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, quartersexual, asexual. So hopefully I got them all. That's a lot of letters, but there you go. So he's here with me, and we got some questions for him. Now, you did say earlier that you are a gay man, and which is fine. But let me ask you first. I know that it is a big deal in America for anyone to come out, being the history of how people feel about the gay lifestyle. But when you first came out, was your friends and family angry with you? Did they say anything bad to you?
I mean, this is sort of the focus of one of our major components of our programming here at Wright State, which is the panels. Where we have students talk about their coming out experiences, stories that are important to them. For me, I've had a very good experience. Now, something you didn't know about me is that I am actually from Oregon.
Okay.
I most recently moved here due to my partner getting a job out here in Ohio, and so I'm not typical of Wright State's community,
okay.
Which is very regional based, but. My experience, I did have a lot of good friends who sort of stuck with me. Not as much through, that high school stage, but slowly coming out through my college years, my undergrad years. I did have friends. I started off with friends at work, because those were sort of the most disposable if things went bad.
Oh, okay.
They were very, very supportive. And then I worked my way into finding the local community at my undergrad. And I actually ended up becoming a leader, so I was the president for their sort of Rainbow Alliance group called Rainbow Continuum at that university. And from there, I became a leader even before my parents really knew.
Okay.
But I did come out to my mom, and then I think maybe a year or two later, I did come out to my dad. My mom, I think, there was some sort of turmoil that was going on, and I was ready to talk about it.
Okay.
My dad was... someone had said something very homophobic to me, and I was kind of freaking out about it a little bit, and he just was trying to figure out why I was kind of upset about it, and I said, sort of through this argument, well, because I'm gay, and he sort of did this his eyes kind of popped out of his head. And he's like, "Is that the way you're going to come out to me?" Like, obviously, he and my mom had been sort of talking, and he had some ideas. And most parents have maybe some ideas, but some don't. And I said, "Well, how would you like me to come out to you?" He said, "I'd rather you not come out at all." But that was then. I did have my partner by that point, and we are now 4 years into our relationship. And my grandma is saying, "Oh, I can't wait to meet your partner's brother." Extended family is starting to get. So it's been very, very accepting my situation. But I do have students here at Wright State who, it's like, I don't want to go back home for Thanksgiving. This is especially a time where it's like, well, my given family versus my chosen family, I can have Friendsgiving and have it be a much more positive experience.
Did you say Friendsgiving?
Yeah, sometimes.
That's a new term.
Yeah, Friendsgiving.
All right.
Or chosen family Thanksgiving.
Let's put that in Webster's dictionary. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, I think students here have a little bit of a different time than students back where my home is on the West Coast. And there are cultural reasons for that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, and I try to tell this students a lot when they're going through coming out experiences, is that most people who are queer on some spectrum, queer or trans, have been sort of knowledgeable about it for several years at the very least, or usually since they've been young. And when you tell parents, even if they've been questioning, that may be the first time they know. And so sometimes you can give them time and it'll get better, sometimes it doesn't. But really trying to support students and supporting their parents, but also telling students how can we get you to be in good situations at home.
Okay.
So yeah, I kind of went with my experience, but then sort of took it off a little bit broad.
All right. Well, good for you. You seem like a really confident guy, and it seems like you did get. I mean, you had initial troubles with you and your parents, but I guess that things are good now. Then are they a little bit more accepting?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think one recommendation a panelist of mine has said a lot is to have some sort of that community background. So
okay.
I did find that community first before really engaging with my parents.
Well,
I did have a partner.
Well, good, man. Good for you. Now, I got to ask you, and I'm on the same-sex marriage subject. It is legal. It's illegal right now in Ohio. Do you know of any cases where people that were gay couples, they did wind up having an illegal ceremony anyway? And do you know what's the punishment for committing that crime of getting married when you're not supposed to? Do you know the laws on that?
There is no real punishment. To some degree, that kind of went out the window in a 2004 Supreme Court thing, and that was against sodomy. That was sort of the legal component. Once that went out the window, there was really no legal repercussions. Now, for people who are married, maybe through a state process, or they're married. Let's see, we're in Ohio, so if someone gets married in Illinois. Which I believe it is illegal, but let's just say Iowa. I know it's legal there. Like I said, these things change all the time. And they come to Ohio. Well, the federal government has decided they're going to recognize that. With the repeal of DOMA, but the state is not recognizing that. Ohio does not recognize marriages done in outside states. So that means that those couples have to file two separate tax processes, and that's more money. So you have to do your whole thing federal together, and then you have to do your state taxes separate. So it's very, very complex, and that can leach into benefits that you get from your job. So here at Wright State, we have an allies, we call it allies, group, and that's for faculty and staff, and trying to get equitable processes for those staff, because we have some people who, if they have a child who's getting the reduced staff tuition price, they get taxed on all that in a way that if someone was married, because that's what it is. It's not their child, it's their partner's biological child that they've technically adopted. It's a little bit different. And so there are those there's those economic repercussions of not having a legal marriage in the state of Ohio, or having it not recognized at the state level. Well, definitely not recognized. That was an interesting response, because what I'm referring to is right now it is considered, well, they won't recognize it, but would the word illegal be too harsh? Like, if you think of a scenario, like say there's a pastor at a church over in Dayton, he does support gay marriage, and he knows two women, they love each other, they're lesbians, they want to get married, and he goes, you know what, let's just do it in secret, I'll marry you guys.
and we'll have a ceremony and everything, as would a heterosexual couple. Like, there's no one's going to get thrown in jail for that. So how's that?
Yeah, as far as I know, it would be more the county clerk who would be in trouble for releasing those things, and that's not a priest. So the funny thing about marriages is that it is sort of a religious institution and a legal institution. There's two processes that you go through when you get married. You get your documentation, and then you have the ceremony. Usually at some sort of church or some sort of religious officiant is doing that process. So there have been plenty of people who have been married through sort of the informal, non-legal process.
Okay.
It's not recognized by a legal entity, but it may be recognized by a church. Those are separate, yet somehow tied together processes in our country.
Well, I learned something because I never knew those two were, because I know there's religious ceremonies, and then there's, I know also when you change your last name, there's a legal process. Like I said, I've never been married myself, so I haven't mastered that. All the terms. I just find it interesting because I'm thinking they're making a big fuss about keeping same-sex marriages from being recognized, not even happening. But if no one's going to throw it in jail if they're having it in secret, then it seems. I mean, I wanted to know. I didn't know what was. I know people were being thrown in jail, like they were doing it in secret.
No, it's mostly that, again, like I was saying before, that those economic repercussions.
Economic. Also, they might get fined. Like the clerk you spoke of, he'll get fined or maybe fired.
Perhaps.
Okay.
That would be someone releasing a legal document when they don't have the power to do
so. Okay.
So that person...
Well, clerks out there, be careful. That's very important. Not a lot of people know that. So that was very informative of what you said there. I didn't know that. But I see clearly now. But anywho, cool. Now on the day that same-sex marriages, I guess, recognized, even though they're still happening in certain areas, like when the courts do recognize it, do people plan on because I know I've seen on the news when other states when announce, okay, we're going to allow gay marriage now. They have a special ceremony. There's cameras. Like, you know of any couples that have a big plan, like for that first day that they're legally recognized? They're legally allowed to be married.
Yeah, I don't know any people who are like planning to be that first one.
Okay.
The one that's, they hear it on the radio or some friends call them and says this court's doing something and they're bam right there. I don't know how they get that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
but I do have a student who they just got engaged.
Okay.
And I do not know the details if they're going to wait or if they're going to sort of do that process through maybe a religious institution. But have it not be recognized, or maybe they're going to go to a different state and just be in that weird legal limbo for a little bit, as some people do choose to do. I do know that it is impacting. They are graduating their undergrad, and it is impacting their future job search. And that's one argument that's being happened against Ohio, is that there's a brain drain, and this is one reason for that. So
cool. Now, what events are coming up for more organizations that are linked to GLBTQA? Everything coming up for the next month or so?
I believe it's the 3rd is World AIDS Day, which I think if you go into your Apple iTunes, they're doing a lot of fundraising for that.
Okay.
But as far as Wright State is concerned, we do have Laverne Cox coming on campus.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Next Tuesday at the Nutter Center.
Yep. Next Tuesday, Nutter Center at 7 p.m. Show up early.
Okay.
We're expecting a lot of people because this is a big name. She's
that's
great
something.
Speaker. And we're hoping to fill up, quite a bit of the Nutter Center. Where we're hearing people from Cincinnati and from Columbus are coming. It's really, really exciting. So December 2nd, so Tuesday.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys. Okay, GL. So that's. Oh well, I guess a little minor question. Where can people find you're from GLBTQA? Like, do you have your own Facebook? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so Rainbow Alliance at Wright State University has a Facebook group.
Okay.
We also have the GLBTQA Resource Room Facebook page. And then, really, if you went to any of our really close partners, so Counseling and Wellness and Wright State University's Women's Center, we have really close partnerships with those offices. So if you were to look out for those resources, you could be forwarded to us very easily.
All right. Well, there you go. So those at home, if you want I mean, they're easy to find. Just call the school; they'll connect you, and there you go. Well, Joshua, my mind's been blown. I did learn some things tonight about the laws of gay marriage, and things are changing. I say it's a lot different than it was 10 years ago. Like I mentioned about Xenia High School, they're a little bit more open, I think, nowadays, because they actually have a group now. They didn't have one when I was in. Now I'm not gay myself, but now that I realize that gay people are people too. I mean, I never hated on them. I want to get this off my chest. I do believe in equality for all people. You know, I know in some circles I've seen, I know the gay lifestyle definitely ain't acceptable still, but it's about America, and I want equality for all. And so I wish you guys luck. I mean, you see me handle it pretty well, and I do. Like I said, I want equality for all. So, if you love each other, you should get married and deal with the other crap later. So, so thank you, and I hope good things come your way and your buddies.
Okay,
all right, thank you very much. And we are back with Ohio is on Fire. I am your host, Daniel Diesel. We are back. I played some Den Weekly Showcase music just now. I played BOD with Snap, Gym City Players with Politics, and Tuck with Make Music. And I got some more playlists coming up. It is now time for everyone's favorite segment. I am talking about a little segment called OMVP, Ohio's most valuable pedestrian. Yes. Do 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 do. All right, I can't sing very good. All right, so OMVP, if you're not familiar with it by now, it is a segment where people, either a person or a group of people, did something very interesting in the state of Ohio that was positive, or they did something weird, but it wound up being positive also. And sometimes it goes to the people that have died, and there's a way to honor some really good people in Ohio that passed away recently. So it's a good cause. It's a good shout out. It's not a real award, but it's a really good shout out is what OMVP is all about. So let me read this news article that represents OMVP this week. But some really good news out in Cincinnati. Ohio inmate is freed from prison after nearly 4 decades. Thanks Law Project, he says, saved him. So let's read this article out of Cincinnati. A man in prison nearly 4 decades for slain and freed when a witness said he lied as a boy came to Cincinnati on Tuesday to thank the Law Project that worked to win his freedom. A beaming Ricky Jackson told members of the Ohio Innocent Project and others at the University of Cincinnati that he would have walked to Cincinnati from Cleveland if necessary to thank the people he says saved my life. They came through like a knight in shiny armor, he said of the project at UC's College of Law. It works to free people using DNA evidence, but took Jackson's case despite the lack of DNA. Project staff attorney Brian Howell said before Jackson's remarks that they had seen many weaknesses in the case against Jackson and had tried to get the witness to recant before he told his pastor the lie and then authorities. And Ricky Jackson is so compelling that it was impossible not to believe in his innocence, Howell said. Jackson, who's now 57, was released from prison Friday after a judge in Cleveland dismissed the case against him and Wiley Bergerman, who is 60 years old. The witness, who was 12 years old at the time of the slaying, recalled last year and said Cleveland police concerned him into testifying that the 2 men and another man killed Cleveland businessman Harry Franks in 1975. Jackson, at ease and drawing laughs at times from a crowd of students, faculty, staff, and project owners, said their support was the reason he was standing before them a free man. He acknowledged coming close at times to saying he was guilty so he might win parole. But I just couldn't do it, he said, adding that it would have not gotten justice for him or Frank's family. Jackson was in prison for 39 years, serving a life sentence for aggravated murder and other charges. Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Timothy McGuntry has said the case fell apart after witness Eddie Vernon recalled his testimony. Vernon said he claimed he kept quiet because investigators threatened to imprison his parents. Jackson said Tuesday that he used to hate Vernon, but later realized he was just a child. He says he would like to meet with Vernon in private, tell him he forgives him, and to thank him. He made a bad thing right, Jackson said. Vernon couldn't be reached for comment. A phone number listed under his name was disconnected. When asked about his future, Jackson said he is just living in a moment. This is quote, life is so beautiful right now, he said. Now back to me. Yes, life is beautiful sometimes. That is amazing. They were able to find an innocent man. He was guilty for close to 4 decades, and they find him not guilty. And that's what America's all about. It's about second chances. It's about, that's beautiful. I love when good people get second chances. It sounds like this guy, he was innocent all along, and he couldn't imagine. He spent most of his life in prison. He was 17 when he was put in prison. He was charged as an adult because he was still a minor when this happened. And they charged him, and he spent most of his adult life in jail. A lot of his family, when he was younger, is probably dead by now. At least most of them, I imagine. So, man, the last time this man was free, Gerald Ford was the president. This was the 70s. I wasn't even born yet. This was the year of disco, the year of bell bottoms, and what else did we do in the 70s? John Travolta, he was a big thing back then. Grease was the #1 movie in the world back when this guy was last free. So wow, that's amazing. But good for him to keep hope alive. So I tell you what, this is for Ricky Jackson. You may have been in jail for almost 40 years. You were wrongly accused of a bad crime. But you found some good people to help you, a good company. Out of Cincinnati, a group that actually, the Ohio Innocence Project out of Cincinnati, for working on your case and actually helping you. But let me tell you something, Ricky Jackson. You're a free man, and you won an award. That's not really an award. You are OMVP, Ohio's most valuable pedestrian. And of course, I'm thankful for tonight's episode. I had a great conversation with Joshua Scacco, and I learned some from him just now. I mentioned the word lifestyle a few times. He said that that's actually a coded word in the gay community. That kind of means choice. And he said that a lot of gay people, they don't see them choosing them being gay as a choice. A lot of people do feel they were born that way. And I know a lot of people, that's a big debate that people say they chose being gay. I think when people say when they say the word choose, they mean in a different aspect. Like, and he even brought up that if people that are gay know in the controversy that surrounds that word and what that means, people that are against that, if they had a choice, they wouldn't choose something that'd get them a lot of trouble. So he did mention that a lot of people, well, most of the gay community, they don't consider it a full-blown choice, as in saying yes or no, or yeah. So it's different. And so I learned something because lifestyle is a coded word. It implied the word choice. So yeah, it was educational for me. It was quite an educational moment for those that don't live that life that he does. But it was very good. I wish him luck. I wish him and his friends that fight for that. It's all about equality in America. So once again, let's for the sake of the United States of America and us being a democracy, we need to be fair and we need to be understanding. So yeah, play fair. Let's play fair and understand. All right. And real quickly about my final message, I'm going to talk about betrayal a little bit. The idea of being betrayed. I know people in the gay community. And I know Joshua, he seems to have a strong head on his shoulders. Like, he does have a good relationship with his family. And it turned out very well for him. I do know of stories of people, like, down south. They do get kicked out of their homes. And they don't always turn out well. And that's one form of betrayal. But betrayal is in all shapes and sizes. Not just for, per se, the gay community. Perhaps the black community. Or if you believe in a certain political party. Or religion choice. Let's just say when you're in your environment, you have a family and friends, and when you grow up, you have there's like certain acceptable norms in that culture, and there's really two choices. There's either the right choice and the wrong choice. Now, I don't mean right; I actually mean RIGHT. We have our slogan, the right choice for the W. But no, I mean, there's a right way of doing things. According to in every community, there's a right way, the right customs. And if you do the wrong thing, then God help your soul if you do something that's wrong or that's outside the box. And that can be anything. It can be being a fat person. It can be having political beliefs. It can be having a career choice. Or it could be a lot of different ways. Another example would be, I guess, the economic scale. It could have to do with, people that they're in a certain lot in their life. We all climb the ladder. We all have to make a living. And it's good to have peers that understand you, they understand your heart along the way. And you think you have them as a friend. And one day they flip the bill a little bit. They said they get a better job. They have a new life. They have a new career. They got new friends. And their environment change, and of course their mind changes. And sometimes people make the choice to say goodbye to the past. But when they say goodbye to the past, they're saying goodbye to people who once fought, who once considered them friends and good friendships. Something that meant that moments in time that was dear to them, but apparently wasn't dear to the other side. It happens more often than you think, and it can punch you in the stomach. It sometimes catches you by surprise. Like if you think you have someone you can trust, and all of a sudden you can't trust them, or they're not around anymore. That's what you call betrayal. Well, if it's done on purpose, it's betrayal. I guess sometimes it's not done on purpose. When people go in the army, or they die. All people that die, I guess you can't really say that they betrayed you. They can't help. I mean, that's the circle of life, is dying. And of course, when people die, I mean, they're losing a best friend, they're losing a good family member, and especially when you lose good people in your life, it just it's a real punch in the stomach. And every day I live the life I can, the best way I can. All the friends I have in my life and my family, I believe that they support everything that I do and say what I look for in my life, because I have ambitious dreams, and perhaps I can always be a better person. I don't know if there's some people don't say what they mean to say, and I don't get any clues. I know a lot of people over the years I don't talk to anymore. I don't know if they hate me. They just don't talk to me. Things change, and I don't do my part to talk to them. And you just never know what happens tomorrow. Like, if you're very happy today, and you know something that's true in your heart, two things will happen. You can do the best you can to really appreciate the happiness that you have, and keep that forevermore, until the end of your life. And if you're not educated, the other option is you're not educated enough on it. I mean, you let things will get in your way. There's always going to be something new, and there's always going to be new people, new obstacles. And I deal with every day. I have a new obstacle in my life, but the one thing that's been a constant that I at least love to do is my radio show. I love it. I hope it leads me someplace, and I have a really good show here at WSU 106.9 FM. I just missed it when I wasn't doing it. Life didn't make sense. Like, I found a thing that I was really good at, and I hope people support that. And in turn, I want to support other people that I care about in my heart. And that's a goal of mine. Like, if I'm not paying attention to other people that would have been really good people in my life, I want to, because I know they're listening to me, but I'm going to try to listen. There's people that could have been in my life if I made a better decision, or if I had said something sooner, done something, like give a gift, because maybe they feel betrayed by me, and that's not true. I mean, I don't betray. I don't feel. Betrayal is when you do something mean on purpose. When you do something really, really bad on purpose. So we just got to learn the difference between betrayal and just organically moving on. But if you feel you've been betrayed, it really hurts. And it's natural to grieve and think, what do I do now? And not just from people, and not people just betray. It could be a career choice, or people business-wise. It can be mundane objects. A lot of things can betray you in different ways. But it means depend on something. If you were to depend on that thing or person, and suddenly it's not there for no good reason. And so I gotta live this life the best I can. But there's people in my life that were in my life that right now they no longer ain't. I'm not sure why, but I got to work on that as a man. And hopefully in time there'll be a happy ending. And I need to do that in my personal life. I need to build my professional life too, because I want my radio career. I want a wonderful career in radio or in entertainment or as a writer. Hopefully that comes my way. Hopefully soon. Hopefully I get my big break. The difference between being betrayed and just naturally changing. So with that, until next Tuesday night, Ohio, that's the way it is.
Warning, this episode of Ohio is on Fire contains strong opinions and viewpoints that belong to the host and guests that appear on Ohio is on Fire. This show contains entertainment and honesty that reaches extreme levels. Please do not try this at home.
Tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
My name is Elizabeth Holford, and I'm the Executive Director at Equality Ohio.
I have a First Amendment.
Equality Ohio.
These officers want me to leave this position just because you got cameras.
Equality Ohio.
Can you believe it?
Witnesses say during a heated confrontation, a healthcare reform opponent had his pinky finger bitten off when he stuck it in a healthcare reform supporter's face. Police say the 65-year-old man picked up his finger and drove himself to Los Robles Hospital, where they're now trying to reattach it. Police tonight are searching for the biter who ran from the scene.
Enough! Silence! I can't take no more. Fire! 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 Fire!
Let's just talk. Listen, I'm sorry. You're highly professional at what you do. You get here and read.